Powerline control systems. I'm a nerd as well, and do love sailing. So want to thank you all for coming and attending. We're going to cover a lot of information today, and we're going to hopefully, from a sales point of view, enable everybody to understand what the products are. I think once you understand what it is and what it does, it can enable you to sell lighting control or find solutions for your clients. We are going to be doing live demos on the SimpleWorx, and I've also got another demo case just off camera for the PulseWorx product. So one of the things we'll do is PCS. We have two product lines, SimpleWorx and PulseWorx, and what I call kind of the bright opportunity. Kind of introduce you guys to what we got, understand some of the technologies of what we're doing, identify the pieces and parts, also talk about how we benefit over other technologies that are out there. So one of the big things is a lot of people ask, what's with all the names? So let's kind of get a definition of PCS is actually our company, Powerline Control Systems. We're actually the manufacturing and engineering company. SimpleWorx and PulseWorx are our brands of lighting controls. We actually have a third product line called GreenWorx, which is more for the commercial space, and we can cover that in another webinar. We also have two different technologies. SPC is Simple Powerline Communication, and UPV, Universal Powerline Bus. Those are the two technologies that are out there, and we'll kind of talk about the differences between them as well. So one of the things I like kind of sharing with folks is the opportunity that goes on within the industry. Some interesting numbers, always be a little unique. Number of households in the United States. There's almost 117 million and growing because there's more and more homes being built. So there's a lot of places to go sell lighting controls. Light bulb sockets. A socket in the United States are 4 billion light sockets. It's a lot of light bulbs to be able to control. Average number of light bulbs in a house is pretty amazing as well. An average of a home is 45. Number of light bulbs that are purchased a year is 2 billion. So all of a sudden, we can understand why the people that were making incandescent bulbs were getting a little, worried about their business going away. It's almost 6 million a day. Now, the switch market, meaning the people that manufacture switches or control devices, in 2006, it was almost a $9 million business. In 2011, the global sales now is 1.3 billion. So that was a pretty big growth. It expected by 2016 for it to jump to 2.6 billion. That's going to double in the switch market, and that's in the matter of switches, dimmers, remote control switches, things along that nature. So, the opportunity of lighting controls is finally here. I've been doing this for almost 30 years now. I started out at X10, so you can blame me that, the professional installers kind of learned about that and left there to kind of build a better technology. So let's talk about automation as a reality within a home. In the United States, the number one device that's automated in a house is a thermostat. There's 45% of homes, and obviously that's growing now as well. Home theater is the next thing that's really automated in the way of controlling, switching video and sound sources, things like that. Home security is in only 23% of homes. So, we know you're in electronics and security, but, there's still a big upgrade there. Lighting controls is only in 11% of homes. Lighting control, a switch or a dimmer is actually lighting control, but what we actually mean of having a control with a remote or a handheld of some sort is only 6%. So the opportunity here goes to show that there's a whole lot of profit to be made. Our company's basically an engineering and manufacturing company, founded back in 1992. We actually invented the technologies UPB and SPC. SPC we just launched in the beginning of the year. One of the reasons is that X10 kind of went away. So there was kind of a void, so we kind of looked at doing a variety of different things. But everything is patented. You know, we've adopted it. It's pretty much been adopted as a control capability for lighting. We can also do HVAC, irrigation, all kinds of different things. And we also developed a software called UPStart that we use to program the PulseWorx product line. Some of the advantages of PCS that I look at is that we basically do lighting control. That's all we do. We're not into all the other different things or the whole house systems. We get very, very focused. And one of the things is that, you know, our claim to fame is we were one of the first ones to do scenes, or meaning a press of a button and multiple things can happen within a home over the power line. We actually did that with an X10 based product. So we kind of use a pun called wiredless, because we actually use the existing wiring that's in the house already to control things, so you know, guys don't have to run wires. One of the big things is that we also understand and focus with professional installers. We're not really into do-it-yourself folks. You know, we're not retail. We only sell to our distribution partners, which Silmar Electronics is coming on board with us. We've also licensed out our technology to a variety of other companies, but also have partnered with a variety to, you know, talk our talk, either UPB or SPC. So SPC is called, it's the latest technology from us, and we brought it from our commercial line. It's called Simple Powerline Communication. And really all we're doing is turning things on and off. We're not doing two-way within this technology. X10 was very, very successful over the years, just sending a command and turning things on and off. Everybody says we got to have two-way communication. Well, the reality is that most everybody that says they're two-way are not really two-way, because if the light bulb is burnt out, they don't tell you that. The switch is on, but it's really not two-way. So one of the things we looked at about SPC is less technology, just get to the end result. UPB is Universal Power Line Bus, and basically both technologies use the electrical wiring within the house. UPB we've licensed out to HAI or Leviton at this point, Simply Automated, MD Manufacturing, Philips Sportlight does commercial grade lighting controls, and then we also have 240 volt product that's available from Powerline Lighting Control out of Australia, and we have another company out of Israel called Smart Home. A lot of different partners are using UPB as or communicating to all of the PulseWorx devices. Elk is one of your big alarm automation panel. RTI remotes, you know, by Sonic, Core Brands, or Elan. A whole bunch of different people can talk to our devices. So if you ever have a question of, hey, can you do this? Well, we might not have a product that does it, but we've got a lot of partners that can usually get that done. So in Scott's simple language, how does it work? We basically use the electrical wiring in a house like a LAN. So in this demo case, you can kind of see these wires. All of these are interconnected and goes into a, you know, a power strip over here. Whoops, moving the camera. So we actually communicate over the electrical wiring like a LAN. Every device gets an ID in the PulseWorx world. In the SimpleWorx world, the transmitters have an ID. The receivers just learn what the ID of the transmitter is. Now, our signal, the SPC signal, or the SimpleWorx signal, is 140 volts peak to peak. The UPB signal is 70 volts peak to peak. The SPC signal will go, we've seen it go 5,000 linear feet. That's almost a mile. And we don't have to do any kind of coupling in a house, meaning taking care of the two phases that are in the home. The UPB product line, we do recommend a coupler on each electrical panel that does have lighting control on it, and we'll go through a little bit more of that in a minute. The other big benefit is that we are talking at a very, very low frequency, kind of like a subwoofer. So we can get through a lot of the jump that's on the power line that other technologies have not been able to do. And we've also got automatic gain control in our devices, so the receivers are always listening for where the transmitters are to adjust to make sure that we can always, hear what's going on. So we literally send a signal over the electrical wiring, and we transmit just before the zero crossing point. Everything that we do is digital. A lot of the older technologies were analog, so they drifted. Again, SPC is all one-way. UPB is two-way. We can actually send a signal. The device will turn around and tell us if the front-end controller asks it, hey, what's your status? And it'll say, hey, I'm at 50% or so. So you can tie all of that in with like the Elks. One of the big things that makes us different is the signal that we send over, say, X10 or Insteon is UPB is a 70-volt signal peak to peak. SPC is 140 volts. X10 maximum could have been 6 volts. And again, being that we're at that very, very low frequency, we can power through 99.9% of the noise that's out there. Which enables us to actually know what the heck's going on. So we've really been accepted as the standard on the power line for lighting control. So, the algorithms, if you will, this white man can dance a lot better around the noise. It's at a very low frequency instead of the high frequency. We can actually adjust our devices within the software in the PulseWorx line to tune out any kind of noise. And UPB is not a single source kind of technology. So I know you guys carry HAI. I'm not sure if you carry Simply Automated, but if we disappeared, you could still have products that are available from other manufacturers. And one of the nice things that we've kind of made sure of is that all UPB devices will talk to each other. In the Z-Wave and the Zigbee world, not everybody plays nice with each other, so we actually do. Some of the advantages over RF, and I come after Clear Connect, which is from Lutron, Z-Wave, which everybody's drinking the juice, and Zigbee at this point, is that we do not have a central brain. All of our devices keep the programming in them. So if a switch goes down, it's only that switch. It's not the router or the device where I can't actually control things. All of our devices actually store everything in it. So if for some reason a contractor is no longer available to that customer, they went out of business or they were actually let go, another contractor or dealer can come in and actually pull that information up out of the devices with our software. We also don't have open air issues, meaning transmitting from a device to another. In the Clear Connect world, they recommend a repeater every 30 feet to ensure that everything talks, to everybody. In the Z-Wave and the Zigbee world, from point A to point B, it really doesn't make a lot of sense because you could also be out of the range of the devices. So with a SimpleWorx product, I can, go almost a mile and turn something on and off. One of the other big things with RF is metal and concrete are the enemy. A lot of, electrical boxes are made out of metal. Concrete, rebar, apartments, things like that actually shrinks down the range of where everything is. But another big thing is that our devices work right out of the box. I'm going to kind of do a shift here and bring the PulseWorx demo case in. Is that even if somebody just puts our products in the wall, we have a keypad and the switches. As soon as I hit the on button on the keypad, all the devices will turn on. We've got standard scenes that are built into the devices. A lot of the other product lines, before you even get on a job, or before somebody can even control a switch, they've got to bring a programmer out. And within the, off turns everything off. A, B, C, and D is 80, 60, 40, and 20%. So I'm going to hit the B button here, and everything's going to go to 60%. Well, without any software, we can actually do manual programming on this. And what I mean by that is I can dim that light down, brighten this light up, and if I come back to that button and tap it 5 times, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, these lights are all going to blink at me. That is now the new B scene. So, it's showing that that was been reset. So if I turn it off and I hit the B scene now, this is at the lower level, this is at the higher level, and this is still at that same thing. So, we do have things programmed out of the box. One of the other nice things is that we can actually certify how well devices in our UPV product line or PulseWorx product line, how well these devices are communicating to each other with the software. And no other technology can give you that capability. So I kind of call it press and pray, if you will. So, they guarantee that they'll send engineers out or do whatever to make sure that the signal gets there. So against RF, I think that's a pretty strong argument. One thing is we're also very flexible. Within, we can work over, obviously, the existing wiring in the house. We can do programming both manually and or with the computer. Some systems, you can only do one or the other. The SimpleWorx product line, there is no computer programming, so it's very, very straightforward. So people that don't want to take the time to learn software, well, this is really a perfect product line for them. PulseWorx, a switch can be a dimmer or a switch all in one. We also have relay devices, but very quickly we've got a device that will handle LEDs, fluorescence, magnetic, inductive, all in one device. So, a guy can go out with one widget and know he's going to be able to control that lighting fixture. And again, cross-compatible to all the other folks. Now, scalable and cost-effective. This is one of the biggest pieces, I think, where we gain over the other technologies. We can have a very, very small system, which could be a transmitter switch to a receiver switch, or a keypad to a dimmer module within the PulseWorx line. We can grow a job to 250 individual devices in a single network in the UPV world. In the SimpleWorx world, it can be as many devices as you can plug in or wire in that a transmitter can talk to. In the UPV line, we can have 250 lighting scenes. In SimpleWorx, it's just groups of lights we're turning on and off, and a receiver can be a member of 8 groups. Each device in the PulseWorx line can be in 16 scenes, and we can actually have 250 networks within the PulseWorx world if I've got more than 250 devices, and we only know a handful of jobs that have more than 250 widgets in it. So, again, no global failures. If one key component goes down, cost effective. For one, on installation, you don't have to run wires. We are also less expensive than a variety of the RF type stuff. And we've also got a whole variety of different types of keypads and front-end controllers to talk to different things. We also calculate it's about 30 minutes installation time per widget. Overall, in the PulseWorx, it's about an hour with all the programming things like that you can do. So a lot of other lighting types of systems have, a central processor, which is very, very expensive. In the Lutron world, you have to buy a $450 device to make one light switch turn on or off. In our world, you buy the switch and probably a $75 as a dealer widget to communicate to it. We also help the guys out in the way of systems design, layout. We've also got a lot of different tools to help them be successful from the get-go. One of the other things is both of our product lines do have a money-back guarantee. in the PulseWorx world, they've got to become certified, and basically that is a matter of how do I, how does the software work? In the SimpleWorx world, there's money back guarantee that it does what we say it does, or we'll buy it back, and we'll actually keep the distributors out of that loop, because if a dealer isn't happy, he'll call us. We'll try and make him happy, and if we can't, he can send us. We'll give him our UPS number, have him send us the equipment and the invoice of where he purchased it, and we'll write him a check for that amount. So that's nobody else in the industry gives people a money back guarantee. Again, it's all we do. We live on the power line. So we've done commercial buildings. We've done 60,000 square foot homes. We do restaurants. All of our product is built here in the United States. We do have a 5-year warranty on all our goods. Again, we're backed by the money back guarantee. We invented UPV. So, the PulseWorx products actually have other things in them over our partners. I'm not going to give it all away. And our software actually has all kinds of documentation built into it to help the dealers later on in the way of, okay, this is what we talked about, Mrs. Jones. Here's a printout of what everything has been programmed. So you have a sign-off sheet, and also how we can document how everything communicates to each other. So with that said, that's kind of an overview of PCS and our technologies. We're going to kind of go through the components of SimpleWorx. And the way I really start things off is SimpleWorx is really the beginning, or the kind of a replacement of X10, if you will, that's guaranteed to work. So the setup on this, or programming or configuration, whatever you want to call it, is really, really simple. This is a keypad. This switch is a transmitter. This is a receiver switch, a receiver switch. This is a receiver module. This is a transmitter module. So if I want to have a device talk to this #1 button here, and let me give you a little kind of an up-close view of this keypad. So, we've got 4 buttons on this. This is actually a desktop version of that. All I need to do is press this button for 8 seconds, and the LED next to it will start to blink. Okay, so it's now transmitting, and it will stay in transmit for 5 minutes. Now I can go to a receiver and press it for 8 seconds, and once it does that, the lighting load will blink, and then the LED here will blink as well, and within 20 seconds, that lighting load will blink again, and that LED is now solid red, and that's it. Now, I could go add another device to that button, and we'll do the plug-in module. So I press this for 8 seconds. The lighting load will blink, and this is basically like a little appliance module. And that already linked up as well. So I can wait 5 minutes. This will go out of program mode, or I can just tap the button once. It's now out of program. So now when I push the button, the 2 lights will turn on. I push the button again, the lights will turn off. So very straightforward. Anybody can do that. So the reality is, if somebody can't push a button, for 8 seconds, so this is a transmitter here. Okay, that lighting load blinks. This lighting load blinks. And it'll blink again. If you can't do that, I can't help somebody. I call that Scott stupid. We can't help stupid people, just ignorant ones. So again, now that's just a virtual 3-way switch. Whoop. So very, very simple. Now, some of the limitations within the SimpleWorx line: a transmitter can talk to as many receivers as you can put in a job. And we've got a variety of different types of receivers, and we'll go over them in a second here. A receiver, though, can listen to 8 transmitters. So right now, that's 1 transmitter. This device is linked to that transmitter. It's also, these 2 are linked to that transmitter. So that would be, 1 and 1. However, I've already linked this device to this contact module. When I put a contact into this, it sends an on command. When I release it, it does an off command. So this is now linked to 2 out of the 8 transmitters that I can talk to. We also have a timer unit, which I've got plugged in here, and we'll get into that in just a second. So the picture represents, 4 channels or 4 groups on the keypad, 2 transmitter switches, and the timer and the contact. So it can be a member of 8 devices. So the products, we've really got transmitters and receivers. In the transmitter side, we've got a timer, we've got a 4-station keypad, we've got plug-in transmitters, we've got wall switches, we've also got what we call as a fixture module, and we have a flat pack, which is really more set up for commercial kind of or fluorescent ballast type things. The receiver side, we basically have plug-in modules, wall switches, fixtures, and flat packs as well. So the first thing that we're going to talk about here is the timer. Basically, it's a little plug-in unit, and I'm going to go for a little ride here to kind of give you an up close on this timer. This timer is very easy to program. It'll control one group of devices. We do have a 4-station unit in development, and that should be here probably within the next 90 days. But it'll do 2 events, 2 on times and 2 off times per device, and it's also battery backed up. Now, to set this thing up, it's pretty straightforward. Let me kind of get this down here. All right, so if I press and hold the set button, I get into my setup. I can set my hours. I can go plus or minus to set my hour. I can set that. It's in military time, so it's actually 24 hours. And I'm trying to get rid of the glare here for you. So we can set the minutes, plus or minus. What day is it? It's Thursday. Set the month. It's June or May. It is June now, right? So we'll go plus. All right. I can set my date. I can set the year, 2013. Now, what's my time zone? East, west, central, Pacific. Do I observe daylight savings? Because this is an astronomical clock. So in California, we do. What's my latitude and longitude? We give everybody instructions in the, all the major cities. A lot of people Google it. But again, I can go up or down, set my latitude. Now, this is getting into the programming of when do I want a device to turn on. So I can, have it turn on at sunset. I can have it turn on a specific time or sunrise. So I'm going to have this group turn on at sunset. And I can actually do an offset. So plus or minus 124 minutes. So this is actually at sunset plus 20 minutes they're going to turn on. Turn them off, and I'm going to do it at a specific time. And I'm having this turn off at midnight at 00 hours. And I can do a secondary time. I get up early, so at sunrise minus 60 minutes, I have certain lights come on outside, and then turn off at sunrise plus 30 minutes. And it'll tell me, okay, today's sunrise is at 5:42. The sunset, it's at 8:02 p.m. And, I'm now done my programming of this device, and I can just go plug it in somewhere. Now, if I need to link this to a device, we have the little program button. So, press and hold that for 8 seconds, and the LED will start blinking fast. And I go to, say, an appliance module. It's connected to, say, some landscape lighting or anything else that I want. It goes and set up, and then within 20 seconds, that lighting load is going to blink again. And now I'm there. I could also add it to, another switch up here. And, you put the transmitter in, and now I can go to every receiver that I want to add to the device. And these 3 devices will now be in that group. All right, so now that I've programmed all of those, I'll take this out of program mode, and I can now, also manually turn them on by hitting the on button, and or I can hit the off button and turn them all off. So, that's really it for the timer. It's pretty straightforward. A lot of people want to do, simple outside lighting, perimeter lighting, things along that nature. And, pretty easy to do that with the Astronomical timer. And you just plug it in. The Keypad series, the KP series, the KPT Keypad transmitter. I try and keep my part numbers very straightforward as well. KPT4, it's wall mount. We also have, again, the desktop, the DKPT desktop keypad transmitter. Right now they're available in black only. They are going to be available in white here shortly. There's 4 buttons, and, to wire it up, it's just hot, neutral, and ground. The desktop, you just plug the thing in. Really straightforward. The wall switches, we created the transmitters, the WST for wall switch transmitter, 10 and 20 amps. So, dash 10 or dash 20 for what lighting load you want to handle. We also have a desktop transmitter, which can be kind of like a very simple panic switch. And then the part numbers for the WSR, the receivers are WSR 10 and 20. And then we also have a desktop that'll handle a lighting load there as well. And if you've got an existing 3-way situation, we've also got a companion switch, the RWS. So again, this is showing a transmitter without a load. So this is really a virtual 3-way that every time, I turn this on, the, back porch light would turn on when I turn the front porch light on, or a garage light. The WSTs also can handle a load. If it's a conventional 3-way, we have an RWS and you have a traveler wire you use. But the transmitter can also handle its own load as well. So, variety of different options there. The fixture modules are really more of a hardwired device to where, we can wire this device in the wall, or it goes into a knockout. It's got a little nipple here. It can go into a 1/2-inch knockout. And then we can wire hot, neutral, purple for the transmitter, the FMT, fixture module transmitter, AC, and the CC, which is for a contact closure. So depending on what kind of a client you're working with, are they using low voltage sensors or high voltage sensors? The receiver, the FMR AC, is rated at 20 amps. So, what's nice about this transmitter is that, I control a load with the receiver, but I can use a standard switch to trigger another device to turn on. So in an older home, if I don't have a neutral wire at the switch, I can actually use a standard toggle switch, because when I apply power to the light, I can apply power to the transmitter. It will then go and talk to any of the receiver modules that it's linked to. And the contact closure unit, you'll just put a contact into the 2 inputs. The flat packs are kind of a more of a ballast-looking device. We have an AC and a low-voltage CC unit. Again, rated at 20 amps on the receiver side. And these are really used more in like offices, things like that, to where if I turn off a light, I can turn all the other offices off as well. Or if, inversely, if I turn it on, I can turn them on too. The contact closure unit, it's a real easy way to use occupancy sensors or photocells or things like that to trigger other lights. Now, I think the PMT-CC is going to be a big popular unit, which is this device here. This can tie into any alarm panel. And we've got this little connector here, which you can put your wires. I just used a paper clip. So the 2 left-hand screws are for the contact input. The contact, or the 2 on the right, we actually give you a 12-volt AC output, and this little thing just kind of plugs right in. So, it makes life real easy. So if anybody wants to turn on a light when the alarm goes off, that's actually your piece. The PMR plug-in module receiver AC, basically an appliance module, will handle full 20 amps. We also have a receiver version that will give me a contact closure. So if I use the PMT-CC and the PMR-CC, I now have a remote switch without running any wires. And again, all we do is just plug these in. So a lot of people say, hey, can you turn lights on when you open the garage door? Yes. Just use the PMTCC with a contact, and off you go. And the receiver, so those two devices could control screens, gates, anything. So any questions so far from everybody? If so, please kind of type them in. Let's go over the PulseWorx devices. And with that, here's some of the opportunity that we've also seen in PulseWorx. An average system, and this has to do with PCS, HAI, Leviton, all of that, to the point that an average system in a job site has 30 wall switches. Keypads, there's 3 companions for 3-way applications. There's 6 keypads in a job. Okay, 30 switches, 6 keypads. There's 1 interface of some sort, which usually connects to a front-end system and or to the computer to do all the programming. 1 coupler to go on the breaker panel, and a repeater. It's actually 3/4 of a repeater, but and a repeater we would use in a larger home, over 5,000 square feet, or the house has more than 3 electrical panels, because Ohm's law is Ohm's law. Retail value on that is $7,500. So this is very, very profitable to be used, and on a dealer cost, that's $3,600. So, a lot of guys are leaving money on the table. Once people get into lighting control, it's like drugs. You got to have it. So a typical system, I usually ask 3 questions. What do I want to control? I want to control that light, and we pick out a load controller or a type of a switch. How do you want to control it? Well, I want to use a keypad or a remote to turn things on and off. I want to tie it into my alarm panel. I want to tie it into my, RF remote. I want to tie it into my alarm panel. And I've usually got, some sort of coupler or repeater in the system. So again, it's just transmitters and receivers. The keypads and interfaces are really the transmitters. Load control modules are the receivers. But again, everything on this product line is 2-way. The big difference between PulseWorx and SimpleWorx is that PulseWorx does scenes. So, I can do, and I can also do dimming. So I can dim things down, brighten them up. So the way I usually define when somebody comes and talks to us is, do I just want to control from one point to another point, or do I want to control other things in the house? And do I want to do scenes? That way you can run the gamut of what system to direct them to. The third question a lot of people ask is, will the 2 product lines work in the same house? Yes. Will they talk to each other? No. The only way I can do that is by using a contact output from the SimpleWorx going into, say, a contact input from PulseWorx. So I would take that relay to come here to trigger something this way, or vice versa to go the other route. So, people might want to upgrade later on. One of the things I'd like you to understand is how a house is laid out. Electrical panel comes into the home. You got the power comes from the transformer. A standard transformer runs 6 homes. Bigger homes, it's just 1. So we've got 2 phases coming into the house, 220 volt lines. So I've got phase A, which is, every other breaker. Phase B runs the other part of the house. So actually in a room, I might have 2 different phases, the switches being on one phase and the outlets being on another. The reason we recommend a coupler is it's not worth the phone call if a signal does not cross from one phase to the other. The phase coupler bridges that. Ohm's law is Ohm's law. and signal gets weaker going down copper, just like in a network, just like on a speaker. Any power going down copper gets weak. So a coupler enables the signal to couple right here at the panel instead of having to go out to the transformer, coming back in, and then getting to a device. A repeater we recommend in a job that is more than 5,000 square feet and or has more than 3 electrical panels. Apartments and condos really have 3 phases or 2 of 3 phases coming into the house, which is 208 or 240 volts. In that scenario, you must have what we call as a 3-phase repeater. So this is kind of the topology of a house. We kind of have 3 rules that we live by. Install a phase coupler on every panel that's got lighting control. If you've got sub-panels, more than 3 panels, we recommend putting the repeater at the main panel and the couplers at the sub-panels. And then rule number 3 is to ensure that you have good signal strength of 13 lusters or above. And our unit of measure is a luster. Everybody says, what's a luster? Well, Marshall Lester invented the technology, so it's a reference to signal strength, amount of data, frequency, all that kind of stuff. So in the software, it's really a luster. So what do I want to control? We've got dimmers and switches. They're all in one, but we have different versions for incandescent, fluorescent, magnetic. We got an electronic low voltage one, an LED unit, and a relay version. They all come in multiple wattages, 600 watts all the way up to 2,400 watts. The nice thing about the 2,400 watt device is it will actually fit in a single gang box. And the heatsink is actually on the front. So, it's got a plate that'll handle 2,400 watts. We also have relay versions that'll handle 15 or 20 or 10 or 20 amps. And they come in 7 different colors: white, almond, light almond, ivory, black, brown, and gray. I can actually set the on level within the device manually. So if I wanted this light, every time I turned it on to come on to that level, I tap this 5 times. It'll blink, so 5 is good. And then I tap the top 4 times. And that is now the lighting level that device, when I single tap it, will come on to. If I tap it again, it will go to full brightness. So we can set preset on levels. We can set ramp rates. It can be a member of 16 scenes. And all of our devices are 3-way ready. Part numbers, pretty straightforward. WS1D6 for 600 watt, 10, 15, 24. The LED units are WS1DL, and it's a wall switch, single channel dimmer for LEDs. Relays are WS1R for relay. We have a 10 and a 20 amp. The electronic is E, and again, everything is a 3-way, so we also have a remote switch in the RWS. We've also got 2 types of plug-in modules. We've got lamp or appliance. This one is actually a lamp module. The bottom is controlled. This is pass-through, so I always have power here. The plug-in, the small channel unit will handle 400 watts. The bigger unit will do 800 watts total, so I could have 601 and 200 and another, or 400 and 400. The appliance module does 12 amps. So these are just straightforward plug-in, plug in the wall little widgets. We also have an output control module, which we can close a relay, and that relay can either be momentary or sustained. So we can use that on garage doors, shades, valves, screens, anything you just need a contact for. We've also got fixture modules in the PulseWorx line. We've got a 2-channel dimmer unit. This is used really for ceiling fans, one for the fan motor and one for the lighting load. We also have a relay version that will handle a full 20 amps for pumps or other things. We've also got an irrigation module. It's an 8-zone master unit. It comes with the transformer and what we call as a PIM-R, which is our Powerline Interface unit. You can actually expand this to run up to 256 different sprinkler valves. We have an expander unit that basically looks the same, and it just gets plugged into it. We do program all this with a little piece of software to set your scenes. I use this in my house, and really, really straightforward. So how do I want to control stuff? We then go and pick a controller. We've got 6 and 8 button units. The 6 button unit, this unit will accept IR in this little hole there. We can also custom engrave the membranes here. So they come on off A, B, C, D, but we can give you, whatever you want it to say within limitations of the size of the button. So KPCWs for wall mount, 6 or 8. We also have a desktop unit that plug in the wall. We also have what we call hybrid keypads, where there is a dimmer built into the keypad as well. And these are perfect for retrofit. So if I'm at the front door, I only have one switch there, but I'd really like to have a keypad there. We can actually control the load as well. So this keypad is actually controlling that lighting load, as well as sending commands to the other 2 switches that are, somewhere else in the house. We've also got a desktop version. Unfortunately, on these, there's not enough memory. These devices, the 6 buttons, do not work via IR. And again, we do the custom engraved membranes. We got 4 different fonts, different sizes, depending on the size of your buttons. How many characters you can actually have on each one of those. We've got this little remote that most of our codes are built into all the smart remotes that are out there. But if you need to learn it, we do have this. So, I can, this is IR. This is a load control, so it doesn't have the IR capability. But these buttons basically mimic whatever's programmed to the buttons on the keypad. We've also got remote switches. There's no batteries in these. These things can just stick on the wall. These are pretty slick. The technology is called an Ocean. So it looks like a standard switch. This has got a faceplate on it. It also comes with this little mounting bracket, so you can, screw that on the wall and then mount this on it. When you press the switch, enough energy is created for this to transmit an RF signal to a base. And it's only 50-foot range, but, all of a sudden I can now have that signal go anywhere else in the house. We've also got 2-channel units, so, we can also do bright and dimming with this. Everything is programmed within the base unit. We've also got a remote. We don't make these, but, I can do this from the car. Again, no batteries in this. So you never have to worry about changing those, and there's also an occupancy sensor. A lot of people want to do timed events within PulseWorx. We can do that with our TEC. Again, it's Astronomical clock. It'll do 20 events. Again, it's all standalone. We end up programming that through UPStart, and it's got a battery backup for 10 years as well. The interfaces that we use to program things is the most popular unit is the PIM-R, which has a serial connector on it. You plug that in the wall, and then you end up plugging, the serial part into your computer, and UPStart connects to this device to then go talk to everything out on the electrical wiring. So we also have a USB version. A lot of front-end systems use the PIM-R because they can all talk ASCII. We have a PIM-A that's an addressable unit, so I can actually give it an address within the network. We also have a USB version of that. So we can, most laptops don't have an RS-232 port on them anymore. And we also have a PIM-E, so this device connects directly to the ELK M1 bus instead of having to use the PIM-R and an XSP unit. The RFIE is the unit that we use with those RF switches. This device can listen to 8 of the RF devices. We also have an input type module, so I can put a contact into it. It can either be voltage or a contact to go turn things on and off. I can take AC, DC, or a contact into it. Photocells, pressure mats, things along that nature. We also sell a device called the X10 Bridge. I did a good job, 25 years ago where I got a lot of the alarm panel manufacturers to talk X10. So this device takes the X10, raw X10 command that they're sending and converts it directly into a UPB signal. So A1 is equal to link 1. A2 is link 2, but I can change all of that in software. But right out of the chute, I can take an X10 command from any controller, any alarm panel that talks that or front end, and talk reliable UPB. We can also have a hybrid house, so we can pick up an X10 signal coming down the power line and convert that into UPB as well. So somebody might have keypads or other X10 type controllers that now want to talk to the UPB switches or PulseWorx switches. This device will actually convert that signal. We also have a doorbell module. It actually senses the current being used to flash lights or turn things on. I can also connect into the phone, any phone line. It'll hear the phone ringing and then go do something. Some of the tools, UPStart, we'll do a crash, 15-minute on that. But UPStart is basically the software that enables you to run, set up, and configure a house. It's actually the system file. This software is available on the website. It is free. You do not have to travel to California to get it, to attend a class. You don't have to take a class in somebody's course to get the software. It's free because it's not going to do anything unless you got our products. We also have what we call as a command wizard. This is the way if people want to spit out ASCII strings to our devices, it'll create the network ID, what's the command going to be, what the link is, and you can copy and paste that and drop it in somebody else's software like Universal Remote Controls or RTIs, any of the AV style, front-end systems. Phase coupler. That's a basic commodity item. It connects the two phases. It goes phase to phase. It's wired outside the electrical panel, but reality, a lot of guys just hang them in the panel. It's not the code. That's why we make it out of plastic. So it's about $50 for the contractor. A repeater basically will pick the signal up and retransmit it onto the other phases of the house. And the nice thing is I can have UPStart talk to this device and say, hey, Mr. Repeater, how well can you talk to all the devices in the house? So now again, I can know at the main panel how well everything's communicating. We also have some plug-in repeaters for the low voltage kind of guys that don't want to hire an electrician. If somebody is doing commercial work or condos or apartment complexes, they must have a three-phase repeater in a system. The reason being is the power in a house, you got two phases, phase A and phase B, and it's a mirror. So, we can probably line up. In a commercial world, we have three phases. So that window where we communicate will never line up. So this repeater picks the signal up off of one phase and rebroadcasts it back on all the others. So we've done big restaurants, different condo units that, high-rise buildings, things like that. And this has got to be at the electrical panel of the apartment or structure. We also do have some filters. There's very, very few items that can affect us, but, nothing's 100% except death and taxes. So if we do need to isolate something, we have them. We sell less than 100 of these all year. A couple of other neat things that we've got is we do have this lighting control panel. This is a big aluminum UL-rated can that if it's a retrofit job or a new construction job, you can mount all the switches in this and hide them instead of having all the wall acme on the wall. You don't have to derate anything when they're in side by side. The top two rows here are showing the 600 watt switches. The next two are the 1,000 or 1,500 watts, and the bottom is the 2,400 watt. It's also got a cover, and then what the switches mount on swings out as well, so you can actually do very, very clean wiring to the device. And being it is UL rated, some guys do put standoffs in here in the way of neutral bars and connection points when they wire everything into it. So, it can be very, very professional looking. We also sell the screwless wall plates, single, double, triple, and 4-gang we have in stock. 5 and 6 gang are special order. But if you're selling a switch, you got to sell a plate. It's kind of like the French fries. You need wall plates. Very, very big profit item for you. The keypads, the wall switches have to be ordered in the color you need. You cannot change the wall switch. However, the keypad we can, because if you got to change your membrane on the keypad, it's just 2 screws to take the. What I'm doing is I'm taking the wall plate off of this. So if I want to change this, I can take off the 2 screws, and I can replace the color here and put the new membrane in. But again, the wall switches have to be ordered in the version you need. This outer ring here holds the circuit board internally in place. So that's kind of why we don't allow people to change them in the field. We also sell kits. So home theater, security interface, starter packages. The key to this is a solution sell. Mainly for the dealers, it's roughly a 10% discount than buying everything separately. So, I want to do a home theater kit. So we use the 6-button desktop, a keypad, and 2 switches. I can control 3 zones. Security interface, remote car kit, that kind of thing. It's more application sale focused. Now, we do have a lot of educational material. We have videos. We also do training. If you guys have a variety of dealers really interested in something, I can actually set up webinars specifically for you and your clients. We also do live webinars once a month on software and the hardware. We have hands-on classes around the country. Southeast Security Products is our rep firm down by you. They can come in. They've got demo cases like this, come in and do hands-on classes as well for the dealers. But one of the big things I really recommend everybody do is go register on our website. What that will do, depending on who you are, on the back end, other things will show up. So under the resources section, if you say create an account, go fill out your information. And if I log in now, I can now get under my resources. Right now I've only got downloads and warranty. Now I can get in, I can see pricing, I can get presentations. All of our PowerPoints are here. Under support and training, I can now watch the videos and recorded copies of webinars as well. So, and a lot more things become interactive, again, dependent on how we code you from the back end. So if we have an authorized dealer, a certified integrator, or you guys are distributors, different things will show up. One of the things that we really want them to register for as well is that under where to buy. If a reseller locator, this will end up showing who our authorized dealers are. We only sell our product through distribution. So if I don't know where somebody is, if they're not registered with us, I can't refer jobs to them, or they're not going to be listed. So from my house, within 25 miles, I've got 25 different locations here. The blue is certified, the black is authorized, and we also have distributors in here as well, so the dealers can find out, find the distributor. So once we get, stocking order, inventory, all your locations will be located here as well. So so that's why we really want people to register. So please do that. So I think some of the applications you can see is that we can tie into any of the subsystems that are in a house, be it security, CCTV, home theater, pool and spa, irrigation, anything that's in a house we can connect to, control, or trigger something to be used. Integration is a must for everybody. I don't think anybody else is out there does as much as we can do. And when we actually dim a light, we're actually saving energy. So with that, what I want to do is show you the software and how easily somebody can set up a system within PulseWorx. So one of the first things you have to do is I can connect to my Powerline interface. I'm going to use the PIM-R, which is here. So I know it's on my COM1. I connect to that unit, and I'm now operational. I can actually create under File. I can go to my PulseWorx Systems Designer. This is new in the last 3 months, and it's really helped people get things going. So I can put in the client of, this is Jones, put in our address or phone number, put in the dealer's name, what's my network name going to be. My network ID is between 1 and 250, so I'll make it 42, a network password. I'm going to erase the configuration of the devices when I install them and put in what I'm setting up, and I can set my default fade rate. So the next is enter the rooms in the house. Okay. So I can list all the rooms that I'm going to be in there. Within the kitchen, what am I going to be controlling? The cans, right? And I can now have a drop down of our most popular items. So I got my wall switch. I also have a keypad in the kitchen. So that's a keypad. I've also got the cabinets. That's a wall switch. And I can go to the next room, living room. I got the cans and the lights. Put in here whatever you want. It's a wall switch. And I can use keystrokes to make this happen as well. I've got the pink lamp. That's a lamp module, so I can put in all the devices here. Outside, I got my landscape. It's a appliance module. I've got sconces. And I might have, a pool light. So I would put all the devices in. Now we have to figure out all of the scenes that we're going to do. So we do have worksheets for the guys. But we've also got standard, and the reason I have everybody go through this is now all of a sudden I can turn around and on the keypad, I can now assign what scene. So I'm home. What's my mode? I've got 16 different modes, how these things work, but activate and deactivate, like on and off, a toggle button, so I can push it once, turn the light on, push it twice, it turns off. But I've got 16 kind of scenes here, and I can now, make these buttons do whatever the heck I want them to do. And the pink lamp, I really want that to be a toggle button. Morning, I already did. Good night. Here we go. Good night. I can make off away. And I'm not going to use the D button. The up down, I can make the last link. So I can now dim and brighten. Bright button for that one. And this one we're going to make a dim button. So what it does is it populates all of the devices I've now installed, and I've created the scenes. And now I have to basically go and set up my scenes in the link builder. So home, my controller, it's the keypad. I'm going to do the on button. Now the presets, I want the kitchen cans to come on, the kitchen cabinets, the living room lights, the pink lamp, the outside sconces. And now what levels do I want them to go at? You know, well, the kitchen cabinet's only going to go to 100%. Now I'm going to go to 60%. I can also set the fade rate so I can have this come on, you know, the living room lights come on in 2 minutes. Nice and slowly come up. I can have the, you know, pink lamp come on at either my default fade rate, or I can have that come on actually up to an hour. I can have a fade rate set up. So I'll have that come up to 5 minutes. So I want these to go to 90%. And I'll go 2 minutes. And I can also tell the little LEDs on the keypad what to do. So when I hit the on button, light up this LED, turn off the off button, and then turn off A, B, C, and D, because home is on. Any of these other scenes are not happening. So now I can get a look at, here's my scene name called home. It's the kitchen keypad on button. The cabinets, they're going to go to 100%. The devices, these devices are going to go on, and that's my scene. So I can go through and now modify every one of my scenes to the lighting levels that I want them to be at. So, and now at this point, I would literally go out and program each device. So I can right-click here and I can say program. The software kind of says, hey, it's going to come back and tell me that device has never been programmed. So what I'm going to do is just go put that kitchen can switch in setup. So this is my kitchen, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, puts it in setup or learn mode. I say OK, and it now is going to take all of the information that I programmed and download it into the device at once. And I have to do that for every device, and it takes roughly a minute a device to download to the units. And I'm going to end up adding one more wall switch, and then I'll show you how we can do communication tests, which I think is, to me, very, very important for contractors to know how well everything is communicating in a house. I mean, I can also, what I did here is I program things offline. I can actually program devices online as well, meaning going to each device one at a time, or I can add a device. I can right-click and say Add Device, and I'm going to put this keypad in setup. Okay, now in setup, it's now going to, the PIM is going to go out and now find that device in setup, and then it's going to pull any information that's in it up and then rewrite. It'll ask me what room is it in, you know, what device name do you want to call it, and then I can actually write that information down to it. And that would literally be the last time I have to touch a device to do programming. Other than that, I can now do it all from my keyboard on the system. So again, this takes about a minute. So what room name do I want to put in? So that's probably the living room. And I'll call it the keypad. It's automatically given it a unit ID. I'm going to erase the existing configuration. And you know what? I'm not going to erase the existing configuration. So it'll leave the default links 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 in it. And now it's going to write all this information down to the device. And it'll come back and say, hey, I'm all good. Now, I can go into each device and set a variety of configuration settings as well. And this is kind of where learning the software, things like that, takes a little bit of time, but it's not really, it's not very difficult. So if I wanted to modify something in the wall switch, I can double click it. I can set the rocker switch settings, single tap, double tap. Options, I can set the LED to be, you know, red when on, blue went off. I can set the fade rate. Each of our switches is a timed event unit, so I can automatically have a time off, turn off. The receive components is literally all of the scenes it's a member of. So I can add this to the morning scene and now say I want you to go to 40% in 6 seconds. Our switches are also transmitters. So when I turn this switch on, I could actually have it trigger the pink lamp. And when if I turned it off, it wouldn't turn it off. But I can make this device a keypad, if you will. I can do set my receive sensitivity as well. I can also test it. I can turn things on or off. But the big thing is I can now do a communications test from my laptop to the device and see how well I'm communicating to it. At the device, I got 101 Westers, and I've got 73 at the Powerline Interface. So from here to here, I talk, coming back, it lost a little bit. So I can now kind of, it's telling me, hey, do you want to program? Right now, I'm going to say no. But, I can modify different things in the keypad. I've got, how do I want my buttons to work? What are my transmit buttons transmitting? The different scenes. What are my indicators doing? So I'm having different things happen when I push a button. What's the load? This is a keypad with the load control. What is this a member of? I can actually create the custom engraved membrane in the software here as well, and then just email that in. I can do the load test, I can do the keypad test, and again, I could do a comm test. So, there's a lot in here, and I don't want to kind of scare you all off, but a nice thing is under my tools, I can do device-to-device comm tests, so I can say, let's pick the living room keypad, and we're going to talk to the kitchen cans. So I'm going to have this device talk to this device and tell me how well they're communicating. And I got 75 and 67. So I know that this device is well within tolerance. It's 13 or above. And no other technology can show you that information. So to me, I can save, reports. I can also do repeater comm tests if I have a repeater in a device. I've got all kinds of little tools here that, if I push a button, I can read what has been sent, activate number 9, the living room keypad, did button B, and it talked to these devices. So I've got all kinds of tools in here. But I think the big key as well is I can now print out the job. So here's the installer, here's the Mrs. Customer, here's all the devices by our device numbers, our names, what we call them by their room name, what are they, what firmware version are they in, my keypads, what the buttons are transmitting, what scenes they are, what mode they're in, what link number they're in, and then what are my scenes? To us, they're just numbers. They have names, but what devices are in it, what triggers it, what responds, and how quickly they get there. So this is a very nice sign-off sheet for the contractor to turn around and say, hey, this is what we talked about, this is what we designed, here's what we did, thank you very much, let me go. So, this is a nice big printout that you can save as a PDF or print it out or whatever you want to do. So that's kind of what I call the crash course. I kind of think that, we've got a variety of products that fit all kinds of budgets. You can start off with 2 widgets for 150 bucks. The PulseWorx Designer in the way of the software. We also design compatibility with all kinds of other products. We're very profitable in the way of for the contractor and for you folks as well. So, we kind of look at doing a bunch of business with you folks. Again, all of the resources are available on our websites. Tons of documentation. If I printed out all the documentation we have, It's a nice big fat 2.5-inch binder. But all the spec sheets on the website are available. So if you go into any one of the systems or the products, here's an overview. Spec sheets are very quickly available here. Any one of my modules I want to look at. Look at the plugin module here. So here's the basic overview. Here's the big features, technical specs, the wiring diagram, and any kind of documentation we have on a device is here. A quick start guide, programming documentation, things like that are all available on each of the products. So SimpleWorx, PulseWorx, and GreenWorx, it's all available from the PCS lighting, event, and we've also got, event schedules and calendars and that kind of a thing as well. So, with that being said, does anybody have any questions? I'm going to unmute everybody just to give us the capability of having open dialogue.
I heard that you were trying to record the interview. No. Let's go back.
So, any questions, comments, thoughts?
Scott, when you and I met in Vegas, you also said that you had some packages for people that want to try it out themselves.
Yes. We have a couple of different programs available for the dealers as well as yourself. I call it the My Home program or Model Home Demo Room program that I'm going to pull it up here. It's basically a 25% discount off of dealer pricing for the dealers. We've got some forms that they can fill out. A lot of things are online. People attend a program, an online webinar. They have special kits for that as well. But we've also got a Get Started Now kit. A very great
I'm not getting charged
that you can use
so that I can create from OpenAI. I'm not
to sell somebody something, get them excited. So usually a $700 kit
I hear what you're
that they can get for $277. It includes one keypad, 4 switches, a PIM, and a phase coupler that they can fill this form out, send it to you, send it to us, but they can buy one of these kits for $277. And I'll follow up with an email to everybody that's attended where you can download these forms. We've also got the Model Home and My Home program that they can fill it out. You guys have to sign off on it. The rep signs off on it, and we sign off on it. But we've created all of these as electronic versions. So if you guys want to put stuff into your home as well, you guys get the discount off of the distributor pricing or however your company policy is. But we've got some nice little programs for guys. So, do we have any other questions?
We're getting a lot of echo when you're talking once you unmuted us. So, thanks a lot for the presentation. I'll talk to our people about the product line, and then we'll probably place an order for Miami so that the branches can take from us.
I'll go back to compromise.
Fantastic. We've got great tech support as well. As I said, I'll send a follow-up email so everybody's got my contact information. We're sending literature to all of the branches as well as brochures and some counter card, point of sale type material stuff. So we look forward to doing some business with you. Do not hesitate to give us a call with questions, thoughts, comments, and whatever we can do to kind of help everybody out. With that all said, thank you very much for your time. Have a great week. And We'll talk soon.